Does it still say for legal reasons or whatever that you have to avoid legal snags? There you go. It still says that. Damn,
it tells you that.
It doesn't tell you that?
I never seen it.
It's probably just the recorder, not the recordees.
It says to avoid legal snags. Now I forgot what it says. And I have to stop recording to see what it says. But it says like to avoid legal snags, you have to let everyone know basically that we're recording.
Oh.
I don't know, some bullshit.
Well, I didn't know that this whole time.
No,
I'm gonna sue you.
Jafar's gonna sue me now. I shouldn't have said anything. No, I avoided legal snags because I told you ahead of time. I told you ahead of time.
Casts, I have proof on all those other casts that you did not tell me.
What are you reading there?
Bullshit!
Old clippings of the San Antonio Express News?
No, dude, it's my blood pressure readings, man. I'm old.
Oh.
Damn.
I remember when we were at the cabins, and Jafar one time we went to the cabins, remember? And Jafar was like, you know how I can tell you're drunk? Because your eyes are bloodshot. And I was like, that's just my high blood pressure, man.
Damn, we're old now. We're fucking old, dude. Like, I have to do blood pressure too. Like, I haven't gotten diagnosed with it yet, but I'm checking it like every day because like now I'm like, shit, it's kind of high. Gotta make sure I'm, But damn, man,
keep
like
lowering the standards too.
Yeah, fucker, I'm trying to pass this test. Just let me pass this test. Round my score down.
The curve.
Yeah, I need a curve for my high blood pressure. What up, my nerds? This is the Sieteuno. And no, this is not BDG, because that's normally the intro for BDG, which is our gaming wing of GSPN. This is the actual main podcast. And today I am hosting. We're trying a little something new just to see if maybe we can get a little bit of a better flow, I don't know. We'll see what the fuck happens with this.
We're trying to have a system.
We're trying to have a system. We're trying to be organized. The past times we have not been organized whatsoever. This time we're trying to be organized to bring good stuff to everyone who is listening. But as I've already mentioned, I am the Sieteuno, accompanied by both Darth Jafar and Falcon_Chew. How are you guys doing today?
I'm alive and well.
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being on our podcast, guys.
I'm glad to be a guest here today.
Thanks for having me back as a host.
A guest.
A guest host.
Your guest host, even though we're all this is all of ours.
What nobody knows off air, I'm just a temp.
Yeah, Darth Jafar. Darth Jafar is the only one that has a fucking degree into this shit.
And the sad thing is, I don't even do the editing.
Yeah, I do that part since I have some time on my hands.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I had computer access throughout the day, probably I would help out more.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I can do it's basically just listening to us talk again, which is fine. Arcanine, damn it, he's the one that's going to be ruining shit today. So today we have some stuff lined up for y'all. But first, we're just going to have this segment that I've kind of set up here called BS, where we're just going to talk about whatever. We can talk about stuff that's been going on during our week since the last cast, I guess, or there's some news that has come out that we can definitely talk about as well. Did you guys have anything y'all wanted to talk about?
I think for once, my week was actually pretty okay.
Really?
All right.
It went kind of smooth. You know why? Because it became a consistent schedule. I wasn't all over the place throughout the week,
Oh,
I had unfortunately it came due to a coworker getting COVID.
I see.
So I basically just jumped into her spot while she's out, which is basically a guaranteed 8 to 4 kind of schedule.
Oh, that's kind of a good schedule.
That's perfect, dude. I'm getting off at a good time before the 5 o'clock rush. you know?
Does that mean
And,
that she's losing hers and you're going to be there the whole entire time?
No, I mean, she'll probably be back, like, after... I think I'm just doing it one more week, and then she'll probably be back.
Oh, I see.
But,
Well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a good 2 weeks of, you know, a nice sleep schedule, because I'm going to bed and getting up at the same time every day for once.
That's good.
And stuff like that. So I feel a little more energetic, because I don't feel so either like sleep deprived, or like I slept in for like 12 hours and like wasted the day or something, you know?
Yeah.
So
Dude,
it was nice.
True day.
Like, so I was off for the first week of 2021, and dude, I mean, I had like shit happen like as well, because I had a whole bunch of problems with my house, but at the same time, like, dude, I felt like I wasted that whole week, because like I was waking up at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would be up and I would do stuff, like I would work like outside or do something, but then it would be like 6 o'clock, and that's pretty much the end of the the end of the day. Like, can't do anything after 6 because of the lighting issue. So yeah, I felt like my days were like wasted. I felt horrible about that. I wasted a whole week off, but then at the same time I got to sleep in, which I don't ever get to do.
But did you get things done?
I did get things done.
Well,
I
that's
bet
what
you
matters, man.
I did my deck, and then I had to fix my roof, and then I had to fix my water main, and then I had to fix... Oh, shit. I had a lot of stuff that I ended up having to fix, but I did get it done, which I was happy about.
Hell yeah.
It could be a double-edged sword, but yeah, it's nice. You know, the whole... I don't know. I feel like as I get older, though, it's harder for me to, like, be satisfied with sleeping in. Even on my off days, I find myself, like, setting alarms for, like, 8:30 or, like, 9:15 latest. Because I'm like, no, I have to, like, be up and, like, have the day, because it's my day off, and I don't want it to, like, go to waste, you know?
That's the military in you, man.
I know it still lingers in me sometimes, and I'm like, you're still in there, huh? It's like Naruto with Kurama inside of him. It's like, I see.
That flies over my head a little bit, but
It
I
does.
understand.
One day you both will.
Yeah, one day
When I chain you all up in my basement,
force us. Fucking,
I just force you to watch all of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden.
What was that book, or what was that movie, Clockwork Orange, where they have his eyes open watching, like, whatever brainwashing thing is? That's what you're going to do to us. Anyway, so did anything else? I did have some stuff that I did want to bring up about some sports stuff that I noticed.
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, well, so I did want to talk about the Harden trade. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. For those who can't see Jafar, he just put a thumbs down.
What was I thinking the other day? I was like, I feel like he did. All right, if this is possible for you to conceive, Siete, I feel like he did worse than Kawhi. I feel like he's a worse person.
No, fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck life. Fuck that. He's the worst person in the world. No one can be worse than fucking Kawhi.
I don't know, man.
He can fuck him. Fuck his shit.
I don't know, man. It's kind of hard for me to swallow.
Now that I said that, though, Harden he was kind of a fucking douche nozzle.
And whether you want to save it for a later debate, or if you want me to, like, say why now, is up to you. But I have my reasons.
I mean, I can say your reasons, but I mean, fuck. Well, oh no, we do need to save it, because I don't know if you're going to use that later on. But I did watch when we were watching the Spurs game, or was it the Spurs game, or was it I don't know if it was just something I saw on Twitter or something. But Shaq did come out and say something about the Harden trade, and he was pissed. Like, he basically was saying, that Harden didn't do shit. Like, for someone that is so demanding and saying, oh, I need to have bigger or better players, whatever bullshit he was saying. For someone saying all that, he didn't show up in the playoffs, and he was like non-existent. I was like, he does have a point. Shaq's right on that. I don't know. It does come back to, like, all the arguments that people said about with Kawhi leaving. They're like, oh, well, he can be his own person, whatever bullshit. And then, of course, he did get us to a championship. I mean, although Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony were there, still, regardless of all that, he was there. That did help us get us to a championship.
Let's not lie. There would have been another one, too, if there wasn't Zaza.
That's true. Fucking Zaza fucking ruined everything for us.
We were ready to steamroll that whole series.
Yeah, dude. We were up like by 20 points, right?
Something. Yeah.
And then we just, like, completely lost our lead. Yeah, man, but still, I mean, I am curious what's going to happen with the Nets. because I'm curious to see if the chemistry is gonna not be there anymore. I mean, because Kyrie wasn't even doing anything, right? He was like missing, right?
Dude, Kyrie's not even like he's missed like 4 or 5 games in a row. He's like acting. People are saying he's becoming the Antonio Brown of the NBA.
No shit.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah,
that's what I see on a lot of threads.
Jay Tellum was the one that was telling me that. He was saying that, you know, he's been missing and, you know, kind of just being a bitch about stuff. But I am curious. I mean, I don't think the Nets are gonna go anywhere. I think they're gonna sputter out just like the fucking Rockets end up doing. They might get better because it's the East. Like they might go into the playoffs and, you know, go somewhere. But I don't think they're gonna like die out and be But yeah. So one other thing I did want to bring up before we go on to our next topic here, I did want to talk a little bit about the Spurs up to now. I feel like the Spurs have been good. I mean I know we lost a few games, but so far I mean I feel like the Spurs are kind of getting it together. I'm a little happy with it. I'm not happy. I'm still upset that we don't have an actual, like we're doing that small ball shit, but I mean I do like that we're coming together and, you know, I don't know how else to say it, like becoming a better team, I guess would be the way to say it. How are y'all feeling about this past week or this past few games?
Well, no, I mean, you're right. They are, and we're getting to see the young dudes kind of take advantage of being starters now, and Pop is giving them the free reins. And you see Lonnie getting a lot more comfortable, although he does need to get a little sharper. You know, he still makes a lot of mistakes, but he's young and he is hungry. Really embarrassed about the Houston loss, but
We
turned
made
it
up,
around
giving up for today.
Yeah, they had one less man, supposedly. They were an 8-man roster as opposed to a 9, so that could have been why we won. No, I'm just kidding. But
Nah, man,
But,
fuck that.
no, but I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I think it'll get better throughout the season as well.
I hope so, because I'm trying to hold on to hope, and I do like my players. I like our players that we have. I like Lonnie. I like all of that. My only argument that I always end up having is that we need to kind of shed some of the vets, and I know that can be a bad thing because then you don't have any leadership on the court, but at the same time, I feel like Lonnie and DeJounte could be the leaders, you know, the de facto leaders. And I feel that, you know, we got to let them shine, because the one thing that's scaring me is that when Derek White comes back, Vassell's going to be losing his minutes because
the minutes, yeah,
I'm worried about the minutes. You know, like that's going to be an issue. And if we didn't have like DeMar or Patty, then, you know, that would work. But you know, it is what it is. I'm a little nervous about.
Well,
Derek comes back.
We got too many guards. The Cavs got too many big men. Let's talk. Let's make a deal.
Get rid of DeMar and give them and take all their big men. But
hey, we're over 500, man. That's what's good.
And we're in the top 8.
Yeah, that's true.
There's some teams that are struggling, like Denver.
But the Spurs have no answer for Christian Wood, man. He's a Spurs killer.
Yeah, and it's because we don't have any fucking, I don't know, because he's like a center, right? He's like a center power forward kind of player.
Something. Did LaMarcus play?
I didn't see him.
He played tonight.
The answer is always no.
No, but you know, it is, I mean, that is going to end up being a thing that bites us in the ass because we don't have a big man to stop stuff like that. It's going to be so demoralizing that when we get to later games and like the playoffs, it's going to like just hurt our feeling. And then speaking of demoralizing, that goes into our next segment here. So as we said earlier, we're going to be trying some new stuff, seeing how it works out. And we came up with a new segment that we're calling That's Debatable. And with this segment, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a debate about a topic that we decide on off camera, of course. Well, camera. We're not on camera. Off air, you know. And yeah, we've prepared. We usually prepare for these debates, and we're gonna have 3 rounds, basically trying to prove our point of what's the right thing or what's the winning answer to our debates. Of course, the host will be the judge, which will be me today. So today we have Darth Jafar and Falcon debating about a topic. And the topic today is, what is the most demoralizing moment in sports history? And Darth Jafar, I guess I can tell you guys now what we each chose. And funny story, Darth Jafar, when you accidentally texted us your topic, Falcon had already chosen that topic. And I was trying to figure out a way to make it seem like, hey, you can't pick that subject, but you did it for me. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you bailing me out of that. So
that was funny. Real quick, that was funny because when he put that in there, I was like, that's it. I won. It's over.
That's true. That's true. You both had the same topic. Although Jafar did come up with a really good subject to debate on. So actually, I was going to say the subjects, but I will actually let you guys talk about your subjects here. So the first round, so the way that this is going to work, the first round, Darth Jafar and Falcon will present their cases to me as to why one is better than the other. And we're gonna have some time, about 5 minutes to talk, and then we'll move on to the next round and go from there, where it gets a little more heated. So since we already know Falcon's topic, we'll go ahead and let him go first. So please present your argument to the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right. All right. 5 minutes on the clock.
Starting now.
All right. So this is a moment that I've tried to erase from my mind. It's a moment that I've tried multiple times to just get out of my brain, but it just won't. It's always just lingering there. It's been sketched into my memory by who? None other than Derek Fisher. How long did it take him to sketch this into my memory? Damn well more than 4/10 of a second.
I didn't know you were going to go there with that. I'm sorry. That's the White Claw.
Mr. Chair, that's 5 seconds that I lost there.
I will give you exact 5 seconds.
Just kidding. All right. So, damn well more than 4/10 of a second. Cling, 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 ching, cling, cling, ching, cling, cling, ching, cling, cling. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2004 NBA Western Conference semifinal between the Los Angeles Lakers and your San Antonio Spurs. This was the first time in my mind, at the age that I was watching basketball, that I remember the Lakers putting together somewhat of a super team.
Mm-hmm.
You had Karl Malone, the mailman who threw some bowls, who memorably knocked out David Robinson, but also the Jazz, who knocked out the Spurs about 3 times in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Gary Payton, the glove, one of the dudes that is the biggest shit talkers in the league at the time. Of course, you got Shaq, you got Kobe, and these are the types of dudes that you absolutely hate unless they're on your team.
Mm-hmm.
But they had assembled what some of the people called the greatest starting lineup in NBA history at that time. All right. So now to the man Derek Fisher that broke my heart. I never liked the guy very much because he wasn't very tall. But he was very solid. He was stocky. He was strong. He was pretty good at threes. And he played for the Lakers, the evil empire. And there was also some other people on that team, like Devin George, who I disliked as well, because at that time in middle school, all the girls were creaming over his eyes. They were like, he's got pretty eyes. And he was going off in that game. Anyway, this game, throughout this series, up to this point, Derek Fisher was only averaging 6.3 points per game. Pop was asked before the game, who's going to be the X factor in the game? And Pop said Derek Fisher. I don't believe it. You don't believe it. Especially if he's only averaging 6.3 points per game. Anyway, obviously, if you've seen the game, Tim Duncan actually first, Kobe Bryant makes a shot and puts the Lakers up by 1 after the Spurs trailed for most of the game. Then Kobe makes that shot, puts the Lakers up by 1. We're all freaking out. There's only like 15 seconds left. Tim comes back down and makes an unbelievable shot over Shaq, leaving 4/10 of a second on the clock. And everybody thinks it's over. The Spurs run over to their bench. bench. There's that iconic picture where Manu's jumping on Tim's back, or actually it's Tony's back, and they do like a standing dog pile. I mean, with 0.4 of a second, you think it's over. You think, if anything, they're going to lob it to Shaq, or maybe throw it to Kobe for a quick toss-up. But they don't. Why? Because our dudes gravitated toward Kobe, understandably. But they passed it into Derek Fisher. He catches the ball, turns around and throws it up. And it's like everything happened in slow motion and with such silence. And it goes in. And I felt like at that moment, the Lakers knew that it shouldn't have counted. I felt like they knew it shouldn't have counted because they ran. They started running over to the exits, trying to get into their locker room. Hey, get out of here. And how we doing on time, Mr. Chair?
Wrap that up. I was about to text that right now. Wrap that shit up.
What kind of warning was that?
My bad.
All right. Hey, it's our first time, guys.
This is our first time. Be gentle with us.
I'll
say this. I am distracted. I'm like listening to your speech here. I'm like I'm transfixed on what you're saying. Please continue. Right. Wrap it up, but please continue.
I'm wrapping it up here. All right, I'm wrapping it up. Needless to say, me along with all the Spurs and the fans in the arena just stay there, just kind of staring because they don't believe that it counted. They don't believe it should have counted. The Spurs stay there. They sit there. They think that the refs are going to come back and wave that off, and they review it and they say no, it counted. Possibly with a late clock start. Anyway,
collusion.
That is the moment that is the most demoralizing to me in my career as a sports fan.
Your time is up then at that point. I will say I remember that day. That is also one of my days of that is etched into my memory. I think it's in every Spurs fan memory. But I will let you know where my point of view rests at the end.
I yield back my time.
Yield back your time. Yeah, so the floor recognizes Darth Jafar on his most demoralizing moment.
Yes, thank you. I did not have papers and such prepared. I was just going to kind of go off of memory. I know it's 5 minutes, which I can kind of milk the clock, I think. So yeah, we can admit Derek Fisher's 0.4 second shot was definitely a bummer, because our team was good, man. We were beating that super team, and we were doing it because we were united and we were strong and we were a solid team, united, a core. And even though we lost, yes, it was a terrible loss, but we knew that we were just going to run it back the next year because we had those kind of guys. We had guys that were reliable, guys that were loyal, if you will. So later on, when we got this young guy who was following up after Tim Duncan and the other two wingmen, Tony Parker and Manu, we were all excited. Kawhi Leonard, he's the future, man. And he's quiet. Doesn't say a word. He's mysterious. Gets injured. Okay, it's understandable. He's going to sit out. So we're sitting there, we're on the sidelines, and we're watching this kid who is the future kind of keep his mysterious ways going. And we hear rumors that he's seeing other doctors. And then we start to hear rumors that, he's isolating himself. He's got people surrounding him that are keeping Spurs staff away from him. Things like that. Then we start to hear actual Spurs people on the roster, Spurs players, kind of say underlying things in interviews that are kind of directed towards him. So we know now as fans that there's some beef going on, which has never happened before. Then we start to hear about Uncle Dennis, and we're like, okay, this kid's starting to listen to some family, which is always like a recipe for drama because it just is, it's what it is, man. And then we start to hear the rumors he wants to go home. He wants to eventually leave the Spurs and go to the Lakers, of all things, dude. The Lakers. We're Spurs fans. Like, hello? Okay. But then he comes back every now and then and he plays a game or two and then he rests and it's an injury thing. We're like, you know what? Pop's going to work it out. Pop is a reasonable guy. So is RC. Like, this whole mess is just going to kaput like around the All-Star break. And then one day you just kind of get the news, pick up your phone. It's Kawhi Leonard has requested a trade. And that to me was very demoralizing because for once in our history, we had somebody who was, I'm not going to say perfect, but was definitely a shoo-in and kind of portrayed the culture of San Antonio and the Spurs. That it was perfect, like, to pass the mantle down to him. And you knew how excited we all got whenever he played because he was mind-blowing. And I think it was just like, it's one of those things like when a girl tells you like to fuck off, you know? And you're just like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with us? Like, we've had a good history. And then we do the whole trade and to see him win a championship in Toronto. You're just kind of like, what? Hello? And then he just kind of like bounces, and then he goes to the Clippers, which isn't as bad as you're kind of thankful at this point he's not with the Lakers because of Kobe's legacy, and you don't want Kawhi over there. But it's just like that to me is just more demoralizing because your spirit and your like confidence in your own self and your own organization are kind of like in doubt. And now your fan base too, which has always been viewed as one of the most awesome fan bases, one of the most people love playing in San Antonio. Even if you're on the road, people love you. But now all of a sudden we're the fan base that like shouts things at Kawhi's family when they're in the stands. So that was it right there. That was just demoralizing, dude. It's a taint. It's a stain on the Spurs culture.
I hear you.
That'll always be there.
And when you told me that was your topic, I thought that was a really tough topic to go up against with Falcon, because god damn it, that is both of these topics when you were really good. Whoever got fucking the .4 first was gonna be up there, but Darth Jafar pulled that one out of thin air, and I was like, man, I can relate to that part. But good job. Hey, for the first time doing this was a good intro. I liked how y'all spoke. Y'all painted a picture for me, and I like that. However, at this point, we move on to the second round. The second round is where I am going to be entering the fray here. Player one has entered the game, and I am going to be forcing y'all to defend your position, and you have to defend them greatly, bigly, if you will. So, the first person that's going to be up, I will go in the same order, is FalconChew. FalconChew.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's the White Claw's getting to me.
Falcon
Cindy Lou Who.
All right, so, sir, the chair has a question for the gentleman about the .4. So, I had to do some research, because I will tell you, the only thing I remember from that game was the .4 moment. I remember I watched that whole game, but I do not remember anything before that. The only thing that's etched in my memory is the .4. So I did look up on YouTube a recap of the entire game, and I do want to bring this up because, you know, it was a demoralizing situation, but was it really? Because that entire game, as you mentioned in your argument, was we were down the entire game. And as I was watching the recap, you know, they're kind of explaining, kind of like walking us through it. You know, we were doing horrible that game. Like we were, like, they were talking about, like, in the second quarter, people were there was a whole bunch of turnovers. We went down like by a whole bunch of points. And the only reason we ended up coming back was because Devin Brown, who's not even fucking, he was just a blip on the Spurs radar. Although he did play with my brother. He played baseball with my brother. Fun fact. But, you know, he was the only reason we stayed relevant in that game. And then we had a luck shot at the end that where Tim Duncan, because I remember that, because I thought when Tim Duncan hit that shot, I thought the game was done. Like, I remember thinking that, I was like, man, Tim Duncan did it again. He pulled it out. We fucking won. And then, of course, the .4 happened. But we were already at that. We should have never been in that situation in the first place. So I argue that it should have been expected that we lost that game. Now, who knows what would have happened, because wasn't that like a game that was game 4 going into game 5, right? Or no, that was game 5 going to game 6.
Yeah.
So who knows what would happen? I mean, because we're going back to Los Angeles. I mean, they could have won there, and then they could have won again here in San Antonio. So who knows what would have happened? So with that being said, how can you say, because then the next thing is that the next year we won the championship. So I agree that it was a demoralizing situation, but how, knowing all this other information, is it more demoralizing than Jafar's point?
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Chair Siete, that's exactly why it is most demoralizing, because it's one of those games where the last time that you led the game was when you were up 7-6 in the first quarter, and then the Lakers take the lead. You turn the ball over, everything's going wrong. But knowing the Spurs that we had, they stayed in it. They always stayed close close to the Spurs, or to that Spurs team was like within even like 20, 15 points. If they're within that, they got a chance. And like you said, Devin Brown, that's also another reason, is because Devin Brown was a dude that went to UTSA, and to have this somewhat of a hometown kid keeping us in the game along with Manu Ginobili off the bench, that says something that gets you going. And yes, it was a lucky shot that Tim had, but also at the end of the game when Shaq says, "One lucky shot deserves another," that's.
I didn't see that. That's a good point.
I think Tim's shot was lucky. I think Derek Fisher's shot shouldn't have counted. And that's what I think.
So your argument is that, yeah, our shot was lucky, but that other one should not have been in there in the first place. I can understand that. That's a really good argument.
Correct. Yes, sir. And there was actually some times after that where Derek Fisher got interviewed and he said they might have started the clock late, but he was like, you have to allow that time of error for like sections to be able to like start the clock or something like that. Well, I rest my case.
I hear you. Well, that was a good defense there, Falcon. I will accept that as a good defense there. Now I move to Jafar, and I will go ahead and start off. I am the most vocal, I feel, about that bit. I will forever hate his ass. And, that's just where I stand. I am not a fan of Kawhi. However, even though he broke my heart, even though he did that, I dare say it may not be that demoralizing. Because, and I had to look up, and I was just kind of like looking through, what we had. Because, after Kawhi left, so the way I remember it, so I had to look up here, it was 2017. Kawhi was being a bitch. He sat out that season. I think it was the 2016-2017 season, or the 2017-2018 season. I think it was the 2016-2017. I think that's where he sat out. And, he requested the trade, whatever BS, We still ended up making the playoffs the next 2 years after the bitch left, He's the most hated person, I feel, in San Antonio. But the Spurs were able to still come back strong and still stay in the playoffs, continued or extended our lead. I think we tied the league record, right? We tied the league record for longest playoff stint. Did we break it? Are we I don't remember. Now that I don't remember that one. But, and at the same time, even though, Kawhi did all of that, we ended up getting a player from the trade from his ass. We ended up getting a solid player in Lonnie Walker. And I mean, I pulled up the stats. That was the one thing I forgot to do during the week. I was supposed to look up his stats. I mean, looking at his stats, of course, 2018, he had 2.8 points for the season. 2019, 6.4. 2020, 13.8 points for the status, or for the year. So, we lost. I will admit, Kawhi, the bitch, is a good player. But I feel like even though he kind of left us in ruins, we have a lot looking forward to for the future. So with Falcon's situation, it was just like a fucking gut wrench. We can't say anything now because we got fucked in that situation. We were literally fucked in that situation here. How is yours more demoralizing than Falcon?
Okay, let's start with when the drama first happened.
Okay.
One thing that's really demoralizing is that when you look back at it all, it could have been easily avoided. All Kawhi had to do was go public and say, or Kawhi and the Spurs, if they wanted to hold a press conference together or something, they both could have sat down and said, this is the situation. Kawhi's got an injury. He's not comfortable with coming back and playing, and he wants to go and see other doctors. We misconstrued, his intentions, and we're playing him against his will, maybe, or not against his will, but, we're putting him in games and stuff when we should have been listening to his health concerns and issues. And then the whole city of San Antonio, which had the image of being loyal and friendly, would have sat back and said, hey, you're our star player, man. Do what you got to do. We'll see you in 2018 when you're 100%, and we'll get going from there. But it never happened. He did everything under the cloak, very knife and dagger. And then you brought up about us still like trading him and staying in the playoffs and stuff, and it's like, well, yeah, man, but that's because of DeMar. I know DeMar's not a closer really, and he's not what Kawhi is right now, but we still had LA when he was, I don't want to call him productive, but he was still kind of putting numbers up. And then you had a lazy declining LaMarcus, you had like a second tier DeMar, and then you had some youthful guys, and you got veterans like Rudy Gay hanging around and Patty Mills to kind of like bear some of the load for DeMar and LaMarcus, which put us in the playoffs, yes, but at what, 6th seed, 7th seed, 8th seed? Like, okay, we knew it was coming. We knew the decline was coming. And then you're talking about Lonnie Walker blossoming. I feel like, did we get Lonnie from like a pick or anything from the trade, or
I think he was one of the picks. I don't think I think our second pick was Blossom Game, I think, for that year.
Okay.
That was our pick, the one that we ended up with.
Okay.
For the year.
You say we're really stacked on guards now, dude. I wonder what would have happened if Kawhi had stayed and we kept building around him like we were planning. Maybe we would have had different records, and we would have had different drafting positions and drafted different positions that played and centered around Kawhi, and we wouldn't be doing this small ball shit right now, and we wouldn't be rebuilding with 17 guards on a 13-man roster.
You're kidding. You kind of tugging on my heartstrings there, Jafar. You know how to convince me here.
So you know what made it even more demoralizing is Kawhi said he wanted to go to California. We said, okay, we're going to send you to Toronto, and the coldest place on earth. He's going to win a championship over there. And what was I going to say? Damn, it just had a really good point. It like split my head. Oh no, he's gonna win his championship over there. And for us, God, where was I going with this? I can't remember this one now. You said I was tugging on your heartstrings, and then I got lost. I was like, oh, thank you. Well, but yeah, man, it's just like for him to win the championship, and we were on the decline already going out. I had a really good point, but I lost it. There was one more. I'll yell it out later when it comes to me. Well, then, I mean, you can save it. Go ahead and think about it here, because now we're going to move into our last round here. And the last round, the way I envisioned it is, having a debate between Biden and Trump. And I just want it to be a shit show. So I would like for you guys to plead your case. Why should I pick your point over the other person's? And if you want to interrupt the other person, you're more than welcome to do it to prove your point. So I will start off. We'll still continue with the starting off with Falcon. But of course, Jafar, at any point, you can go ahead and interrupt him and argue your point. So, Falcon, why should I pick your point over Jafar's?
When that point comes to mind, yell it out. So this is the third round?
This is the last round.
Okay. Also known as the third round?
Also known as the third round. Speaking
of demoralizing, that's a lot farther than I make it on Fall Guys. But so it's just demoralizing to me, man. Let me live in my turmoil. It's because freaking the Lakers were the freaking dark horses, man. Actually, I don't know what dark horses means, but they were they were, like I said, they were the evil empire. They had already won a three-peat. The Spurs, if they could get past the Lakers, which they should have, they themselves got demoralized because they lost the next two games. But the next round would have been against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were having their best season. We would have beat them. We would have gone to play the Detroit Pistons. That would have been a good series. I can't say who would have won that one. But the following year, like you said, we won the chip against the Detroit Pistons in a 7-game series. One of the most demoralizing things is that the Spurs could never repeat, and that's still something that we haven't done. And had we won that year, maybe we would have won the next year too and repeated. We just could never get over that hump of becoming a repeat champ. Meanwhile, the Lakers were three-peats already and had knocked us out. I don't know if it was the season before that or the one before that, but they knocked us out. It was a rivalry. It is what it is. It's a rivalry. And D-Fish did his thing.
Well, that thought never came to me. So I was trying the whole time to remember what I was thinking. But no, I'm still going to be with my case, man. Like, to have someone just kind of dismiss the entire organization and to go and win a championship and leave us with, like, just... That's what I was saying. It's like Kawhi when he went to Toronto. When he left, he kind of like did one of those things like, okay, the Spurs are trading me to Toronto. I'm gonna go win a championship, and I'm gonna hurt them while I'm going. Like if they're gonna take me down, I'm gonna take them down. And that's exactly what happened, dude. We got a declining DeMar DeRozan to go with the declining LaMarcus Aldridge. We have to go through a serious rebuild now because we weren't planning on this. This wasn't planned. So now there's a lot of shuffling going involved. We have absolutely no big men right now. And let's see, where else? That's it, man. I just don't like Kawhi. He went and won another championship. He convinced the whole NBA that he was the victim. And then he ended up getting what he wanted and going to Los Angeles and forming a super team like a little bitch to like guarantee his safety, to guarantee his playoff, runs and shit like that. And it's just
but people in the NBA are starting to see that it wasn't Kawhi that did that. I mean, it wasn't us that did that to Kawhi. It was Kawhi who did that to us, because he's starting to fuck with the Clippers now and people in that locker room and whatnot, and it's starting to be seen, and it's starting to come up above the surface. It was bad, but he is carrying that with him.
I don't know. I think those are the defenses.
It's with Kawhi.
Well, does anyone have anything else before I render a decision here?
No.
Jafar.
D-Fish's shot hurts, but a nail is a nail, bro.
Falcon.
I will say that the Kawhi shit was, something that hurt, like a mosquito bite, I should say. It itched. It started to itch a little bit after. But what did it do? What did it do? It brought us these people. It helped us appreciate what we had been before, because now we know that we were spoiled back then, and what we were just going to go from a Tim Duncan to a Kawhi. You can't do that. That doesn't happen. That's not real life, man. We had to learn how to grow again. We had to. It's what makes you humbling. It's what made us humble in 1999 when we won our first title and became on the rise again. How to do it. It's life. The rebirth.
Do you have a script ready or what?
Damn,
Cilatro's right there holding my cue cards.
Yeah. Should have started playing the symphony music.
She was over there with the marker. She was like, I got you.
Dude, you know what? I will for this being the first time we ever do this. Fuck that this is actually kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie, because you guys actually did raise some really good point. Because one thing that has always hurt me, as far as Falcon's point is concerned, one thing that's always hurt me was the fact that Tim Duncan never got to get a repeat. That was one thing that sucked. Like, I really wanted us to have a repeat, and we never had it. We always had the in-between year, and god damn it, man, we should have had a repeat. As good as we were, we should have had a repeat. And that 0.4 bullshit was, it did fuck us up, man. Like, that was fucked up. I mean, we still won. I mean, I'm glad we won the next year, but it is fucked up that we, didn't get that repeat. But at the same time, Jafar's point, it was demoralized. I mean, look at me. I'm a perfect example of the demoralization, because I'm still demoralized after that. Even though I'm happy that we got our players and I like the players we have now, except for, the guards that I want to get rid of. It still hurts me. It's still tugging at my strings here. So I will say, I did not know which one I was going to pick, and up until now I was kind of struggling on which one I'm going to pick. But I do have to make a decision, and I will make a decision. And Darth Jafar tugged at my heartstrings just a little too much, because he raised a good point that fucking Kawhi went and won a fucking championship in Toronto, and that hurt the most, because I was saying all year long that he was going to fucking lose, and he ended up winning. And I didn't even think he was going to win. I was like, oh, that bullshit. He's going to get knocked out. Fuck him. Fuck his life. And he ended up winning. So the next demoralizing point is that fucking Falcon lost here. So Darth Jafar, congratulations on the first that's debatable win. How do you feel after that win? How do you feel about proving your point and tugging at my heartstrings and bring up bad memories?
I feel so demoralized right now. This day couldn't be any worse. I just want to go to bed and get in the fetal position, honestly.
Cry in the fetal position. This was probably the worst topic to pick as far as the first one, but it was good. I seriously, in all seriousness, not being drunk, because I am a little drunk. In all seriousness, that was actually a really good debate, because you guys both raised really good points. I did not know which one I was going to choose, because both points were really etched into my my heart. And especially with Falcons, I will say the 0.4 was when I was starting to really become a Spurs fan. Like that was when I started really paying attention, started learning basketball. Like I started getting more into basketball at that point. And yeah, that is one of my first worst memories with the Spurs. But I'm sorry, Falcon, you did lose.
Hey man, it is what it is. I said in the earlier in the day I need a beer. And why was I saying that? I was talking about this moment here. I didn't say I needed a beer earlier. I said I need a beer, and I meant right now. Because as soon as Jafar picked the Kawhi situation, it was over. It's hard to believe that Mr. Sieteuno was unbiased. Just as Fisher's shot shouldn't have counted.
Stop the count on this one, huh? I gotta stop the count on this one. Fuck, yeah. I'm sorry about it.
I gotta say though, like maybe it's also because the Kawhi thing's just more recent. Like time heals all. We've had some years to digest.
3 championships heal all. After that, we've had 3 championships since then.
That's what I was gonna say. Also, why Sieteuno was like, I don't really remember much about the game besides, but you know every single.
But
thing
I did
about
go
the Kawhi
research.
situation.
I did research that shit. I did go back and research that game, and I will admit, I mean, it was demoralizing, but we still won 3 championships after that.
You know,
Kawhi.
Today, I was gonna say it's funny because today I was at my rent's house and I asked my dad. I was like, because I don't know if he remembers things or not, but I asked him. I was like, hey, you remember when Derek Fisher hit that shot with like 0.4 seconds, like 0.4 of a second? And I don't know what he was gonna say. He was like, oh yeah, man, I remember that. Who can forget that? And he was like, I remember, like, that messed with me. And I was like, Dad, I've never heard you say that. You know, like, I didn't know it hurt you that bad, Dad.
Well, shit. I mean, I will say, I mean, Jafar's point. So Falcon, your point or your argument, that situation made me question time itself, because like, how can fucking someone do that in 0.4 seconds? But Jafar's situation, that made me question loyalty and people, and fuck Kawhi, fuck his ass, fuck him, fuck him.
And there you have it. That's our judge.
Yes,
I found the trigger button and I just kept tapping.
He triggered me. He triggered me like the fucking millennial I am. He triggered me, and I couldn't hide that one. I can't be biased on that one.
He held it until the end, but it came out.
Well, that was a good one. I think that was an entertaining episode. That was very fun. I had a good time with this one. But as all things, it must come to an end, just like fucking Kawhi's stint here. So I will go ahead and get us out of this topic here. Thank you everyone for listening. We do appreciate anyone that is. If you are listening and you enjoyed it and you think other people would enjoy it, please share this. Tell people, hey, these people are talking.
About this podcast.
Have you heard about the podcast? Please spread it around.
About that podcast.
We're really trying to see how if this can work out. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just us BSing and just having fun. But if we can become cool with this, or we become famous with this, that would be cool too. So, but yeah, definitely share. I mean, look us up on YouTube. We do post our videos on YouTube as well of the same podcast, and on occasion we do play some video games under the BDG side, which is Bad Drunk Gamers. But yeah, thank you all for listening. Like I said, we really appreciate anyone that is listening. But I have been the Sieteuno, listening, the chair of this argument.
And I have been the one and only Darth Jafar, going back to the dark side.
And I used to be FalconChew, but I changed my name to Falcon Lose. LOSC.
The first loser of this debate. But thank you all again, once again. Really appreciate you listening. Take care, everyone. Bye.